Miami and parties go hand in hand, but half a century back it was more than just that. Instead of lovely beaches, Miami was exploding with cocaine, blood, gunfire, burned automobiles, cash, immigrants, hustlers, dopers, informants, corruption, corpse bags, and inner tubes. The majority of these occurrences were linked to Miami's Mutiny Hotel, as documented in Robin Farzad's book Hotel Scarface, where Miami kingpins partied, plotted, and did business. Stay with us until the end as we tell you all about the events that happened during those years. Early days. Fueled by greed, Hotel Scarface was a vision of a city providing a unique perspective at the rise and fall of cocaine and the Miami Mutiny. Robin Farzad's vividly reported account of Miami's pre-South Beach heyday tells the true story of the city's violent cocaine trades and the infamous Hotel Mutiny, which Farzad describes as an ecosystem for drug traffickers, law enforcement, celebs, spooks, refugees, informers, and scammers who hosted a drama of murder, corruption, and betrayal. The Mutiny Hotel was a Miami Playboy mansion that brought together drug lords, murderers, and CIA operatives, with people like Jacqueline Onassis, Led Zeppelin, and Miami Dolphins players. It first opened its doors in 1969 in Coconut Grove, just south of downtown Miami, and was home to the prestigious Mutiny Club. The club became the epicenter of Miami's drug culture, with Latin America's nouveau riche and the infamous cocaine cowboys being the club's patrons, which helped it gain huge popularity in no time. Hotel and its perks. The hotel's rooms included themed dream suites designed to satisfy drug-addled visitors' desires. There were Roman-style bathtubs, exquisite bubbly, and extravagant rides. A $75 golden membership card with access to a private area came with a lot of influence. Women were trafficked as well, and were sometimes marched in front of dopers. Dinner Key had a pier, and a billboard on US 1 promised a 24-hour dispatch service for girls. Although not all of the women who participated in the mutiny were hookers, sex for blow was a common practice as well. As almost everyone was screwing everyone, it was common to partake in this activity. It was made up of parts that could be swapped out. Wives would screw to retaliate against cheating husbands. Under the watchful eye of unscrupulous officers and real investigators who couldn't keep up with the drug trade's growing grip over South Florida, the mutiny flourished. Before the AIDS crisis happened, the decade was known for disco and free love. Other events, such as the McDuffie riots in 1980 in Miami, shook the city. During the riots, the city was rocked by racial violence, and the flood of 125,000 Cuban exiles from Mariel added to the mix. Time magazine featured the area in a cover story titled Paradise Lost in 1981. In the same year, the overall number of homicides in Miami-Dade increased to 621. Only 2 years prior, the notorious Dadeland Mall massacre had happened, prompting President Ronald Reagan to declare the start of the war on drugs. Cash and coke. With coke striking Miami like a hurricane in the 1970s, there was no site like Coconut Grove's mutiny at Sailboat Bay to draw dealers and dopers. While marathon orgies flared upstairs in magnificent dream suites, the Hollywood elite, rock stars, and models went to the hotel's lounge to order bottle after bottle of Dom and snort lines alongside narcos, hitmen, and gunrunners. The new kings of Miami reigned among the boatloads of powder and cash. 3 waves of Cuban immigrants competed for control of one of the most profitable commodities ever known to man. However, when the pounds piled up, the mutiny became police enforcement's top priority. It was exceedingly hard for law enforcement to infiltrate the mutiny. The guys had so much cash that they corrupted cops and even bought judges. Because there were so many prominent cops, law enforcement, and judicial officials who were dirty, the Miami Police Department had a difficult time recruiting and retaining officers. They saw the money and they couldn't resist it. The place to be. Waitresses and bellhops were stacking whiskey totes full of the white stuff behind the bar at the Hotel Mutiny, which was the hottest ticket in town as the clock approached 1980. Everyone wanted to be part of it, with huge tips coming in, which were pure cocaine wrapped in $100 bills. Everyone was trying to bribe their way into a coveted New Year's Eve table at the hotel's luxurious members-only club, hoping to join Liza Minnelli, Ted Kennedy, Julio Iglesias, Burt Reynolds, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Doobie Brothers, and the Eagles on the guest list, along with the most powerful cocaine traffickers in the United States. One person who amassed a lot of money from this was Willie Gomez. He was a towering, thickly bearded guy in his late 20s who resembled a disco conquistador. He was working security at the mutiny at Sailboat Bay in the autumn of 1980. A large line snaked around the Mutiny Club's poolside entrance. Willie's work got him side jobs from VIPs and action from a buffet of ladies. Everyone in Miami claimed to know him, giving him a lot of money just because they wanted to be inside, where all the activity was. The domino tables of the hotel echoed with cigar-smoking tales of El Mono, aka the monkey, meeting out and avoiding death. about how in broad daylight he emptied 17 rounds from a machine gun into another exile, and how shrapnel remained embedded in the busy Miami street where he had walked away from a car bombing that should have at least severed his legs 9 years earlier. The infamous Los Muchachos. Willie Falcon and his brother Gustavo Falcon, most commonly known as Los Muchachos, were hotshot champions in 1980s speedboat racing. The Cuban-born Miami high school dropout turned drug lords were champions at a sport loved among drug lords. The group transported 75 tons of cocaine into the United States for $2 billion, thanks to the direct links they created through the sport with major drug traffickers. Their main accomplice, Sal Magluta, who was another Miami high school dropout, helped the brothers in importing a huge amount of cocaine into the U.S. Los Muchachos' narrative is one of many that began with a deal made at the Mutiny, where kingpins bluffed each other, pointed firearms, and held court at tables with landlines. There were as many beautiful women as there were steak and lobster feasts. Among many other things, laxative drugs and marijuana were readily available. The ballers were too wealthy to count their money, so they tossed wads of it to staffers vying for the best tips. The grandiose appearance was finished with gleaming gold necklaces and spoons for snorting yayo. Money was laundered through the underground, but the showy Mutiny set didn't hide its filthy fortune. After years of being on the run and evading authorities, Willie Falcon was apprehended by immigration authorities. Gustavo Falcon, his brother, had been on the run for 26 years before being apprehended by U.S. Marshals in Orlando, and Sal Magluta was also caught by authorities and is currently serving a 195-year prison term. The book. The storyline of Hotel Scarface book is told in 55 small chapters, almost in a play-by-play format. The writing is clear and concise. It's a quick read, but the ramifications are significant. There are numerous untold stories about the devastating consequences of opportunistic, cruel people who made quick money at the expense of other people's lives. On the streets, new money began to flow down to freebase crack. Hotel Scarface is equivalent of the Westies at its best, and native son Robin Farzad shares T.J. English's knack for power dynamics. Farzad makes a compelling case that revolutionary politics separated Miami's first and second generations of Cuban-born cocaine smugglers. In the 1960s, drug dealers such as Carlos Carlin Quesado and Rodolfo Rudy Redbeard Rodriguez Gallo dominated Miami's drug trade. They arrived in Florida at a time when Fidel Castro was overthrowing Batista's mafia, and the U.S. government backed Cuban tyranny. They weren't planning on staying long, so why not make some money in America while they awaited the counter-revolution? They took the mafia's mentality toward municipal administrations with them, that everything could be bought and sold. They possessed a mob-driven sense of decorum. The next era was heralded by Cuban immigrants who had arrived in the United States as small children, some as a result of Operation Pedro Pan. There were fewer dreams about returning to Cuba and resettling their nation for these narcos who grew up in Miami and attended American high schools, while they shared their predecessors' aversion to violent crime, preferring to pay off competitors rather than murder them. Guys like Jorge Valdez and Willie Falcon were self-aware criminals primarily interested in self-preservation and counter-revolution. Despite their blue-collar parents' wishes for them to study hard and pursue the American ideal of obtaining a college diploma, they dropped out of high school to pursue a life of speedboat racing, fine marijuana, and seductive women. Hollywood's obsession. The war on drugs has attracted storytellers since the early 1980s, as most recently shown in Netflix's Narcos, which follows Colombian drug lord Pablo Escobar, and El Chapo, that follows Joaquin Guzman. Directors have jumped on the subject as a result of the successes of these stories, and outstanding films like Scarface, which has left an unforgettable effect on audiences' memories, even after almost 4 decades. The stories of Miami's cocaine trade are ingrained in popular legend, immortalized in the blockbuster film Scarface. And the fascination with the 1970s-1980s Miami noir remains around the world, from Miami Vice to Grand Theft Auto, to the smash series Breaking Bad. The 1983 film Scarface, which according to book author Farzad is a pop cultural totem that, like its art, imitates reality. The 1980s TV series Miami Vice is also embedded in public memory. Both films illustrate Magic City's decadent and violent era, which was powered by cocaine and the drug trade's tangled linkages to worldwide politics. In 2006, a film rendition of Miami Vice was released, and Universal Studios is currently working on a Scarface remake. Well, that's it for today's video. We hope you enjoyed watching our video. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of the amazing videos we have in store for you.